Welcome back. Sorry it's taken me so long to get back to do this, finish this flip book. I was sick last week and did not get in my craft room at all. So we're going to get this flip book finished and ready to go. So before I started the camera, I glued on the center spine here on the inside. I took my flip book template and centered it, just eyeball centered it. You can also measure if that's your thing. I just kind of eyeballed it, marked it, and then I used my large crocodile to punch. I use this a lot for these kind of things because it has a long reach for punching, whereas the handheld one, the smaller one, does not. So that works really good for me. Also, while off camera, I did the same thing. This is the 7.5 by 10, scored along the 10-inch side at 5 inches. I went along the score mark and marked again, and I lined this up, the center here, with my score line. Marked them and also punched them with that large punch so that they're ready to be sewn in. After you fold them, you can mark them, but it's a little harder to be accurate with that, I find. So if that works for you, that's great. Not so much for me all the time. So we have this all in, and we're going to take these and we are going to fold them and score them. Fold them and burnish down that fold line. And put them off to the side. And again, you're going to want to put them in the order you're going to want them in your book. And this is something you can put journaling spots in here if you want with other paper glued in. You can put pictures in here, whatever works for you. Now I'm going to sew this in. When Amber did it, she used a stapler, I believe, and stapled them in. If you're going to do that, I would staple from this side into the cardstock. You're not going to be able to staple through this unless you really have a heavy-duty stapler. But if you're using cardstock, I would staple with the smooth side on this side and then use your outside paper, decorative paper, to cover up those staples so somebody doesn't get cut or hurt on those. All right, now I'm going to sew it in. This is also, if you did not have that punch, you can use an awl to put your holes here. It would be harder in the chipboard to put your holes in with an awl, but I'm fairly certain if you have a heavy-duty awl, you probably could do that. Now, this is the bookbinding kit from We Are. It's part of it. I don't have there's a long punch board that goes with it too. I don't have that in here. I don't think this thread is going to be long enough to do this. I may have to cut a new one. And we'll just save this for a different project. Well, it might be. We'll see. If it's not, we'll just redo it. All right, so when you're doing the pamphlet stitch, you go down through the middle, and we're going to go through this middle. And you're going to pull through, leave yourself a tail, come up through the top one, hang on to this so it doesn't pull through, go down through the bottom, and then back up through the middle. Okay, now when you come up, now that didn't work. Okay, back up through the middle. Okay. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that Each one of these tails are on opposite sides of that middle string. I'm going to put my needle away so I don't lose it. This also comes with a curved needle, so if you're binding other things and using a different binding technique, sometimes you need that. So I find it's a nice, useful set. I use it when I'm making books a lot. So now back to this. Tighten it as tight as you can get. Make sure your outside line is pulled also. And then you're going to tie at least a double knot. And I'm going to do it backwards also. I find that helps things stay locked a little better. Plus this is wax string, so it tends to stay locked a little better for you. So that's how that looks. Also, you can cut these off any length you want. If you have longer tails here, you could maybe put Christmas charms down there if you want, whatever is your preference on that. I'm just going to cut mine off fairly short because I'm not going to add any charms to this. All right, so there's your book in here. Okay, next step. We are going to take the yarn. I had gotten out two different kinds here. I have a plain red, and I don't know if you can see that very well. I have the plain red, and then I have this snowflake red. As busy as this is, I think I want to go just with the plain red. So I'm going to cut two pieces that are about a foot long. Give or take. Oops. Okay, and we are going to put these on the back here, and we're going to eyeball where the center is. Take our glue, or you can use your Scor tape for this too, whichever you prefer. I don't have any Scor tape out right now, so we're going to use the glue and just glue that down flat. And I'm going to put a little more glue down here. I think I want to put a little more there. If you want, you could even run the ribbon the whole length if you wanted to, depending on your ribbon. This with the curly ends there might be a bit on the bumpy side, so I don't want to have too much of that there. Okay, now I'm going to make sure we're going the right direction here. We know this is our back because that's where our papers are, so we're going to take the papers we have cut for our cover, and this one here is going to go on our back. So we're going to put glue all along here. Make sure you get to the edges. And we're going to take this and center it on that old cover and place it down. Rub it down really good. Now our center spine is right here, and this is going to cover up our sewing on the outside, which you can do. Not always do people do that, but definitely something you can do. I think I'm getting close to having to open another bottle of glue. This has lasted me a long time, and I do have backups. They do not ship art glitter glue when it's freezing out because it will ruin the glue. So never let your art glitter glue get that cold. And you also want to order before freezing temps enter your area of the world. Now our front cover. I don't know if you can hear the recycling trucks outside, but it's recycling day here. I just noticed I can kind of hear them. Hopefully the camera's not picking that up. Okay, put this on the front. Get it nice and centered. And we are there. All right, and then I picked this for the very front. You could also put this up on foam tape if you wanted to elevate it a little, make it stand out a little more. I'm not going to. This is going to a craft fair, and it's going to be open for people to look at. And I don't want it to accidentally get torn that way, so we're not going to elevate it. And it already has kind of a backing on it with the gold going around it, so I didn't need to mat it. Get my pen back in my glue. It likes to dry very quickly, and you'll notice that if you're using that the small opening or the small pointed add-on, the fine tip. Okay, so go in here. You would tie this in a bow, or however you like to tie it, but a bow works nicely. Don't want to tie it too tight right now because it's not fully dry. Well, my fingers aren't working today either. It's election day here in Iowa and actually all through the United States. So I've been up early and have already gone and voted. So that is our flip book. You could also put an eyelet up here if you wanted to put a tassel on like I did on mine. That's personal preference. And this looks, I've got a little close there. I may have to trim that off, but I will wait until that dries more, and then I'll trim that probably with an X-Acto knife because I need to get it closer to the edge without having jagged paper. So we have our 3 pockets. We have our flip through here that we can put pictures in. We can put journaling spots in. You could journal right here and then maybe add pictures that you're talking about. More areas for pictures, more journaling spots. You also want to make sure, if you're using directional paper, that these are going the right direction. Same with your waterfall here. Just make sure you're going the right direction with your papers. You can put pictures on each of these pages. You can journal on them all. Whatever suits what you want to do with your book. So this might not stay closed real well at first. You can put something a little heavier on here to hold it down, to give it the memory that it needs to stay closed. So please like and subscribe down there. Please leave a comment. Is this something you would make? Comments help my channel grow. So I will see you next time, and happy crafting, everyone.